Good morning and welcome to Fox 29's News Now on this Tuesday morning. We're going to get started in Newcastle County, where the search resumes this morning for a 6-year-old child. On Sunday, a family was on their way to a football game when their silver SUV veered off the road and into the Chesapeake and Delaware Canal. The driver, 18-year-old Willis Lindsay, and his brother, 16-year-old Kyrie, and 12-year-old cousin Eric Lindsay were killed. The driver's younger brother, Ethan, is still unaccounted for. Although presumed drowned, his mother is holding out hope.
I'm praying to God that, he just made it on the surface and that he's fine.
The crash's only survivor was the driver's girlfriend, who says Willis helped save her, but went back to save his brothers before he himself died. A GoFundMe site has since been set up to help the family with funeral costs. That link is on our website at fox29.com. And more in local news this morning. 2 Center City schools are closed indefinitely due to asbestos, and the parents, teachers, and students affected are demanding answers. Fox 29's Lauren Johnson filed its report.
Well, I got news. I'm not resigning. The other thing is, I'm gonna fix this.
As you know, that's Philadelphia School District Superintendent Dr. William Haidt. That's his response. I'm not going anywhere, because there were some calls in the room last night for his resignation because parents and teachers and students, some of them are very upset over the closing of Benjamin Franklin High School and Science Leadership Academy due to asbestos. And they're also upset about the way the district has been handling the whole situation in general.
Because at first we thought maybe they'd be out of school for a couple of days. Now it seems like that's being pushed back. So we wanted to bring in Philadelphia City Councilperson Helen Gamm to talk about this shutdown and what's going to be done moving forward.
It looks like they're not going to be able to get back into that particular building until after the first of the year.
Correct. It sounds like what the district was saying affirmatively is that they are going to make sure that the building is completely safe before they move young people in.
How much? A lot of our schools have asbestos in it.
Yes, 80%.
80%.
But there's a difference here because they were renovating this.
And it's exposed.
And for the most part, we've got old buildings. They're 70 years of age. As long as the materials are contained, the building's well maintained, we do regular cleanup, there's no leaks, all those types of things. The buildings are should not be having an issue around asbestos. But more importantly, I think what we saw last night is that there are parents right now who are saying that they are not accepting students, parents, teachers, and educators and staff who are recognizing that we can no longer tolerate these buildings in these conditions for too long. So one of the most important things is that we know we have a major issue with Philadelphia school buildings. We need repairs. We need the state to come up with the money to do it. We need the city to work with us, and we need the district to be a much better partner around transparency and community engagement. But what we're seeing right now is parents drawing the line around there is absolutely no reason in the world why our children should go to schools that are not safe, that are dangerous in terms of their health. One young person said that she had not had an asthma attack in over 4 years until she went back to school. And there are questions. She said that her health was failed, her education is being failed, and she put all of us on the line. This is not just a school district issue. She put all of us online because we have allowed this to go on for too long.
Well, it's gone on too long because of money, isn't it? I mean, 80% of the schools, how much money would we need to repair 80% of our schools?
And I think that we've heard for a long time that it's hard, it's going to cost money. But what we saw last night is money comes when it becomes a priority. And to be perfectly honest, when you are confronted with hundreds and hundreds of young people whose lives are on the line, the thousands of educators in the school district of Philadelphia who go to work every single day to teach, they deserve to have healthy schools environments. There would be no way that people should tolerate unhealthy conditions.
What are you going to do about it?
But also, too, especially if we're going to be renovating and adding stuff, wouldn't you know, if we know already that 80% of the schools have asbestos, wouldn't you think about that before you start renovations or have a plan in place to move the kids somewhere else?
Yes, and I think that the district really does need to do do a better job, very clearly on communication, planning, long-term planning, not just short-term planning, but long-term planning for what this is going to look like in schools. A number of different schools are going through renovations. A number of schools need them. You know, we've got situations at Cassidy Elementary, Olney Elementary, where we have serious conditions that we need to pay attention to. And if this is the line in the sand, if this makes us wake up and realize we need a bond initiative, we need the state to step in. We can't allow the state to keep pushing this down the road.
We know that for these two schools in particular, they're doing online classes in the meantime. And for all students, maybe they don't like that because you're not, you know, able to go to a school atmosphere. Is there a place to put them? Is there somewhere else they can go so they can be in a classroom learning that way?
Yeah, and so what I think last night was really great, we saw a collaborative effort between students, parents, teachers, the school district to make that decision collectively. The district initially had gone on a path where they were going to decide where these young people are going to go, and I think what parents and community members were saying is no decision without us. And I think that's the standard that we actually want right now. We want people to get engaged. We want people to believe that this is not an impossible problem, that if we all step forward together, we can figure out solutions, and there should not be another year that another child has to go to a school where they don't feel safe or healthy.
So what's the next step then? Will there be another meeting with the community, or will they get a chance to, you know, vote, write in? What's the next step?
So I believe that there's now an ongoing collaborative decision-making committee. What we're looking for is not to have this just be about two schools in particular, but about the broader direction of the school district.
Something's got to be done immediately for these two schools.
Yeah, they're out of the
Yes,
classroom.
they will be. My understanding is that given what we saw last night and hundreds of parents packing the school district building, not once but twice yesterday, and a number of them staying for over 5 hours during the day, it's that they're working on a major schedule. The goal is to have the young people in classes next week.
Somewhere
in the
somewhere.
buildings, yes,
Okay.
and that they are
maybe at the district building itself.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
and-
there are concerns about moving them to a different school and the reaction that might have. So.
Yes. And our goal is, again, to make sure that the state really steps forward in this moment. That is the most important thing.
We're going to go back to Harrisburg and ask for even more money for their Philadelphia schools.
Absolutely.
As that's what it takes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And we're going to take you now to that report from Fox 29's Lauren Johnson on these Center City school closures.
As of now, the schools are both closed indefinitely while crews are working to repair this asbestos discovery, while they also work to complete a $37 million renovation project that started the school year late here. Now 1,000 students working from home while the district tries to find a place to send them. Yesterday, 2 town hall meetings were held for the students, staff, and teachers at both Ben Franklin High School and Science Leadership Academy. The messages were extremely loud and clear that they feel disrespected and neglected. The district being highly criticized for this entire process, from the mismanagement of the construction project to the handling of the asbestos discovery to the communication of it all. Collectively, many people feel like the superintendent should step down in the midst of all the drama unfolding. Dr. Haidt says that's not going to happen. He plans to fix all of this, and he did apologize.
First thing I started with is an apology. It's an apology because you've had to deal with some frustration. You had to deal with a lot of anxiety as parents, as students, as staff members. We dramatically underestimated the time that it would take to do a major renovation while students are in classrooms in a building on 6 different floors. And so I apologize.
One outcome of the town hall was the development of a task force made up of parents, teachers, and staff from both schools. The task force will work closely with the school leaders to decide on potential relocation sites with the goal of having students and staff in those new locations by October 14th. Now, families are encouraged to keep in touch through websites, both the district and these specific schools, to find out what's next of what's happening with this project.
And more in local news this morning. A new law is going to require all public New Jersey schools to test their water for lead more frequently and post those results online. Governor Phil Murphy made the announcement yesterday. Before, the requirement was to test every 6 years. Now, the testing must be done every 3 years. Schools that don't comply will be penalized. And in Cumberland County, a Bridgeton mother has pleaded not guilty to murdering her 23-month-old son. Prosecutors say back in February, 25-year-old Nikira Greiner reported that her son Daniel was abducted, sparking a search. But the child's burnt remains were found the next day near her home. Greiner told police she struck her son, killing the toddler because he wouldn't eat his breakfast. Greiner's attorney says she had been suffering from postpartum psychosis. And a jury has been seated and open arguments begin Thursday in the case of a young man charged with killing a real estate developer in Rittenhouse Square. Yesterday, the judge approved Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner's request to reduce the charge against 22-year-old Michael White from third-degree murder to voluntary manslaughter. Krasner says it's the most solidly provable charge. However, the victim's mother blasted the DA on Facebook with a cartoon drawing of him wearing a Michael White t-shirt with a cup labeled "Go Fund Murders." In July of 2018, White stabbed 37-year-old Sean Schellinger, killing him after a fight during a traffic jam. Security footage shows Schellinger lunging at White and grabbing him. Schellinger also had a small amount of cocaine and twice the legal limit of alcohol in his system. And on Good Day this morning, attorney Fred Tecci joined us to break down this case.
We got the jury selected pretty quickly here. It's complete now, including the alternates. In the trial for Michael White, the man accused of fatally stabbing a Philadelphia real estate developer, Sean Schellinger. This was last summer, as a matter of fact.
But much about the case is now open to interpretation. And as the most serious charge against White, first-degree murder was not only downgraded later to third-degree murder, but now, before the trial, has been downgraded again, but this time to voluntary manslaughter. All moves led by the district attorney's office. And that's a charge that carries a maximum. Well, we're going to get into what it means and all that. Of course, the Schellinger family, they are not happy as they left the courtroom, but they were instructed, friends and family, to not speak to the media until after the trial is finished.
No, his mom left in tears after that voluntary manslaughter decision was made. Attorney Fred Tecci is here to talk about this. Well, why don't we talk about that real quickly here? It was first-degree murder first.
Right.
And then it was downgraded to third-degree murder.
Right.
And then into the courtroom yesterday morning, it was the judge's decision to send it down to voluntary manslaughter.
Well, because the DA's office asked him. Glenn Bronson, who's the judge, was actually my boss when I first started as a prosecutor. He's a smart guy, and the citizens of Philadelphia are lucky to have him, and he'll follow the law. But my problem is with the DA's office in this instance. When you're the district attorney, it is your job to charge the maximum crime that fits the facts. In this case, in Pennsylvania, the requisite malice or intent for first-degree murder can be formed in an instant. If I say to you, if you come in and say, Fred, I know you've been ripping off the feds and I'm going to drop a dime on you and I shoot you, bang, that's murder in the first degree. It's formed in an instant.
And how much time can that be?
That could be up to life in prison.
Okay.
And look, the DA's job is to look out for the rights of society, for the rights of the victims, for this man's family who are grieving. It's the job of the district attorney. It's the job of the defense lawyers and the judge to argue that it should be a lower charge. You can charge murder in the first degree. You can charge what the law calls a lesser included offense. And the jury can decide to give this guy the lower charge. It's not the DA's job.
But what do you say about, because the DA did, when they released their statement talking about this, that they did this in order to ensure a just conviction. Is it possible
that they could get a conviction?
That maybe they thought, if we do this, we'll ensure that he will be found guilty?
It's not his job to ensure that somebody is found guilty. It's the DA's job to present evidence and to seek a conviction. If the jury determines that this guy's not guilty of any of those charges, that's not the DA's responsibility. That's the job of the defense lawyer and, again, the jury.
Okay, we hear about cases where the person was set free because he was overcharged or she was overcharged.
Correct, and that's why you have judges and defense lawyers. There is. Yes, do prosecutors sometimes overcharge? Yes. Is that the wrong thing to do? Absolutely. Prosecutors should never overcharge. That's the wrong thing to do, too.
It seems like there's quite a bit of video evidence.
There is.
Like,
yes,
at least one camera, maybe two or three. isn't it going to come down to that? The jury will look at the videotapes.
Right, who approached who
Right.
first and who
And
attacked
approached
who first.
Arguing
and
over a
whether or not-
traffic
yep,
jam at
and whether or
17th.
not, and this may be a this may be a legitimate self-defense case. It may be. I'm not here to comment on the facts or the evidence. That's the jury's job. But my problem is this kind of policy that I'm seeing now, where the DA's decided that he doesn't think the most serious offense should be charged, and so they spin it as, oh well, we think this will be a just verdict. Not his job.
Well, he's seen the tapes, though. Wouldn't the
Correct.
DA see all that?
They have seen the tapes. And again, the question is there enough evidence on the tape to convict for crimes above voluntary manslaughter, which is now charged?
And so we did put it up, but voluntary manslaughter, the latest charge now is how many?
Up to 20 years in
up
prison.
To 20 years.
Which is interesting. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, but what about the other charges, too, about tampering with evidence that he's also going to be?
Correct, and it's interesting. I mean, so the DA, the defenders all agreed to allow those other charges in because they know that his client's getting a gift by dropping the third-degree murder charges.
So what are the other? That he tried to hide the knife.
Right.
He
On a rooftop.
He locked up his cell phone so the
Correct.
cops couldn't see him. But
Correct.
the cops figured out a way to get into
Right.
his cell phone.
Right, and that's a great break for the Commonwealth, because I'll tell you what, in a real self-defense case, you go and you say, the guy jumped out of his car, came at me with a gun, and I shot him. Bang! Here's my gun. Here's my cell phone. When you hide evidence like that, you hide the murder weapon, you hide your phone. That's evidence of consciousness of guilt, and that's what the jury's going to be instructed on.
And what were there texts or something in the phone?
Correct.
Said,
I mean, so and we'll see
talking about
what
stabbing people.
Yeah, I mean, so I got news for you. I mean, it's again, this gets back to my argument earlier, which is I think there was enough evidence to charge more serious crimes, particularly when you look at the evidence of concealment, the evidence of what was on the telephone. All those kinds of things dictate that this case should have gone to the jury on the most serious of offenses. It would have not been overcharging, in my opinion, to charge this all the way up to murder in the first degree.
But you have not seen the tapes.
I have not seen the tapes.
Okay.
Then I'm not the DA. I didn't get elected.
Yeah.
He did, and so that's his job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fred, thanks.
Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
me.
I'm sure we'll be following this. It starts Thursday.
Starts Thursday.
arguments.
What are you feeling about it? That it's going to be
I
a
think
short trial?
It should be a short trial. I
would
mean,
think
when
so,
you're
too.
when you're the Commonwealth, your job is to get the case on quickly,
Yeah.
and over and done with. So it should
Okay.
be a short trial.
Well, we're over and done with in the segment, so we're going to take a break.
And more in local news this morning. A new judge has been selected to handle the resentencing of former Penn State assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky. The first judge recused himself last month. This came after an unrelated action was made by the Attorney General's office. Both sides then agreed the judge needed to step aside. 75-year-old Jerry Sandusky is serving a 45-count conviction for child sex abuse. But in February, an appeals court ruled that mandatory minimums had been improperly applied. And police in Delaware County are looking for 2 robbery suspects who thought they had an easy mark until he pulled out his own gun. A man selling high-end hair extensions was set up last month during a transaction in the parking lot of the Parkview Apartments in Yeadon, according to police. 2 women approached the victim, then 2 men ambushed him from behind and tried to rob him, but the victim had his own gun and fatally shot one of his robbers. The victim, described as a hardworking entrepreneur, is not being charged, and he does have a license to carry. Here are 2 of the 3 suspects Yeadon police are searching for: 26-year-old Tyrone Chubb Madison and 37-year-old Jamia Mimi Harrell. Police are also looking for another woman who goes by the nickname Bernie. And in Burlington County, a woman was struck and killed while walking across a busy highway. Now, her mother and her roommate are trying to prevent it from happening to someone else. 25-year-old Tori Gerstenacker was hit by a driver on September 28th, and as she was crossing the busy Route 70 in Marlton near her Delancey Place condo. According to her roommate, a new policy prohibits commercial vehicles from being parked in their neighborhood overnight, so Tori had to start parking her truck somewhere else. Less than a month later, Tori was killed while walking home. from parking that truck. Now, her mother and roommate have created a change.org petition to change that policy.
It's awful to know that I'll never speak to her again.
This could be anybody. It could be anybody's dad. It could be anybody's husband.
An attorney for Delancey Place Condominium Association released a statement saying, in part, "We are saddened to hear of the death of Miss Gertensenacker. We offer heartfelt condolences to her family and friends. We have no further comment at this time, pending the completion of our investigation." We are working to find out what happened to the driver behind the wheel that struck Tori. And in political news this morning, a whistleblower's complaint and text messages released by another envoy portray an ambassador as a potentially important witness to allegations that the Republican president sought to dig up dirt on a Democratic rival, Joe Biden, in the name of foreign policy. On Tuesday, that ambassador has been scheduled to face questions about the episode, the second time in as many weeks that the lawmakers would have privately interviewed an ambassador about President Trump's push to get Ukraine to investigate Democrat Joe Biden ahead of the 2020 presidential race. Doug Luzader reports in Washington this morning as more subpoenas are on the way.
So Congress will hear from a key player in the ongoing presidential impeachment probe today. That story is another one going on in D.C.
And as far as this story, President Trump calls it all a scam. But as Doug Luzader reports from Washington, more subpoenas are on the way.
Hey, Doug.
That's right. Good morning. There's going to be more talk about this second whistleblower that has apparently emerged, and also more talk about these potentially explosive text messages.
The U.S. ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland, has been in the spotlight before, but never quite like this. On Capitol Hill today, he will be questioned about, among other things, text messages from a month ago that he exchanged with a then top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine, who questioned that phone call between President Trump and the president of Ukraine. "I think it's crazy to withhold security assistance for help with a political campaign," the diplomat wrote. Sondland responded, "The president has been crystal clear, no quid pro quos of any kind." Was that a cover, or does it help make the president's case?
It's just a scam. This is a scam by the Democrats to try and win an election that they're not going to win in 2020.
Democrats, meanwhile, are talking about the second whistleblower that has emerged, one who may have firsthand knowledge of events. But there are questions about how any whistleblower will testify before Congress and remain anonymous.
We cannot allow the president to somehow get to the whistleblower or threaten him or discourage him or her from telling their side of the story and us learning what exactly is the extent of the alleged scheme displayed in his complaint.
All right, Democrats want to cover a lot of ground here pretty quickly. The White House continues to make the argument that this impeachment effort, this impeachment inquiry, is not legitimate. Mike and Alex.
All right, Doug. We'll see you again tomorrow, 7:14, just in time for the
Also on Good Day this morning, there is a new Barbie in town. How Mattel hopes the new doll will encourage girls to change the world, including on the Supreme Court.
Yes, and this is a 2019, career doll thing that they have
career
going.
doll.
And we're loving these new Barbies, Tracy. So what's the latest one?
Yes, well, this year it will be Judge Barbie. This year Mattel has announced that over the 200 careers of the year since 1955 that Barbie has had, this year they have decided to choose a judge because they found that after learning only 33% of sitting U.S. state judges are women, they wanted to show girls that they could also be a judge. The tweet that they sent out yesterday said, quote, "The Barbie judge doll encourages girls to learn more about making decisions to change the world for the better. So you will be able to get Judge Barbie in a number of different skin tones, hairstyles. Also comes with the black robe, the lace collar, very similar to a very famous judge, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And this is available $13. So last year, I think it was the robotics engineer Barbie.
That's right.
That was the career of the year. So this year, it's a
What
judge.
about federal indictment Barbie, proctologist Barbie?
Maybe next year.
Okay.
Maybe next year. We can submit those ideas to Mattel.
And I'm sure they'll jump on it, Mike.
I work with a judge, Judge Faith, here sitting next to me.
Have you? Oh my God!
Come on, you look like Judge Faith.
Tracy, are you familiar with Judge Faith?
No.
Faith Jenkins? Okay. Well, she is a court show, and actually, she recently got engaged to Kenny Lattimore.
Kenny
so she's
Lattimore.
doing well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to Google it right now.
I do get, people do ask me, or they do say I look like.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
She is. She's smart. Yeah, go girl.
Yeah. You have a lot in common. Tracy, we'll see you again tomorrow.
And more on Good Day This Morning. A hospital in Pennsylvania says it is transferring some infants following a bacterial infection in its neonatal intensive care unit that affected 8 newborns, 3 of whom have died. The medical center in Danville said Monday that 4 of the babies have recovered and 1 is still being treated. Dr. Mike joined Good Day This Morning to discuss.
Well, this was shocking news. 3 newborns are dead and 5 others sickened, possibly from a waterborne bacterial infection at a hospital. This is up in Danville, PA.
So Dr. Mike is here to explain more about this infection and how it got to this point.
So it is known as Pseudomonas aeruginosa. It is a bacteria that can be deadly. I've dealt with it in my 27 years of doing this. Bottom line is that it is waterborne. It likes water, and there have been outbreaks in places like neonatal intensive care units before. Remember, these are kids who are immunosuppressed. They don't have good immune systems. They usually have feeding tubes in. They might have intravenous catheters in. They have all of these things that increase the risk of infections like this, and this can lead, unfortunately, to death. It's very, very sad. I had 2 kids, both Amy and Nicholas were in the neonatal intensive care unit at Penn. I know the feeling. I've been there, done that.
So when you say waterborne, what does that mean?
So Pseudomonas likes damp, moist areas.
Okay.
So in the past, they have found Pseudomonas in contaminated water in neonatal intensive care units. They have found them in sinks. They even found them in a hand sanitizer container. So I can guarantee you what they're going to do in that neonatal intensive care unit is they're going to culture it from head to toe and even do molecular studies on it to see if it's the same Pseudomonas and washing.
Is that what caused it? Do you think, does that mean some of the nurses or someone touched something that had it and then went to help the baby instead of washing their hands?
I have a rule. I teach the medical students at Penn. If a patient sees me and I don't wash my hands, then I have broken a rule. You have to make sure that your healthcare provider washes their hands. And it's sometimes tricky, especially in a place like an ICU where things happen quickly and can be deadly.
Oh, it's just sad, man.
It's sad.
Yeah.
What, 5 of the little kids are sick with it?
Well, a number of kids are sick, 3 deaths.
3 deaths.
So now they moved everyone else to a different
Right,
hospital.
until they get this sorted out and deal with it.
All right, so another study came out that says men should quit drinking alcohol before trying to conceive. What's the connection there?
Well, heart defects, and this is a very interesting turn of events because we all know that women should absolutely not drink while they are pregnant. But this data looked at women and men before they even had pregnancy.
Yeah.
And so if you're thinking of getting pregnant out there, number 1, you should stop drinking, according to this data, up to 6 months before conceiving.
Wow.
And I would say binge drinking, forget about it. That's the worst thing you can do. Very dangerous not only to a future child's health, but your health. Stop doing it. Live life long.
The men, even 6 months before you start trying.
Right, and I have to tell you, look, I'm a snag-sensitive New Age guy. When my wife was pregnant, I did not drink because it wasn't fair to her.
Oh, well, how kind
I
of
got
you.
you.
Well,
so many times alcohol leads to children. Well, that's a whole other story. Thank you.
Love you.
All right.
Also, on Good Day this morning, these days you can drink your coffee in lots of different ways, but would you ever put mushrooms in your coffee? It's the latest drink that's trending, and we wanted to explore more.
We certainly have heard putting sugar in our coffee.
And maybe a little cream, and also
Cream.
some mushrooms. Yeah.
Pardon me?
It may sound strange, but it's trending. People are putting mushrooms in coffee and other drinks to reap the health benefits.
Well, what are the benefits? Dr. Jen Simmons from Real Health joins us now. Well, you're a physician.
I am.
You're a breast cancer physician for how many years?
16.
16. And now you're a functional physician.
A functional medicine.
Now, that doesn't mean that you can walk and talk at the same time. You're more.
Well, I can do that, though.
I noticed.
I have the skills.
What does a functional mean?
So what that means is that we help people to function in their best way, to live their best life, their optimal life. So we help people find the root cause of whatever's derailing their health.
Root causes, I get it then.
It's root cause medicine, it's roadmap medicine, it's showing you how to live in the best, most fulfilled way.
Well, let's go back to the headline.
Yeah.
We're putting mushrooms
We are.
in our coffee. Why would we want to do that?
Well, first, let me say that this is functional medicine in a cup.
In a cup.
So mushrooms are the detoxifiers of the forest. So they help keep the forest well.
Mm-hmm.
And they do the same things in our body. There are all kinds of mushrooms. Mushrooms are the kingdom of fungi.
And we are big-time mushroom fans around it because of Kennett Square.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And these mushrooms did actually come from Kennett Square.
These did.
Okay,
These did.
You can't shove it in like sponges into your coffee, so you somehow get it into a powder form?
Well, these you don't need to because these are culinary medicinal mushrooms.
Okay. Mhm.
So there are culinary and non-culinary. So the culinary ones like shiitake, maitake, this is a lion's mane mushroom.
Okay.
These are delicious. So they're consumed as food, and I actually prepared some for you today.
Which is fine, but it's the coffee we want to concentrate on.
Okay, so that's fine. So the medicinal mushrooms that are not culinary, they tend to be quite bitter.
Oh.
So we pair them with things that are naturally bitter but delicious
Like
so
what?
that your palate doesn't pick them up. So we pair them with coffee, we pair them with tea, we pair them with chocolate.
Oh, so they're not just coffee. It's all sorts of different stuff.
No, it's all sorts of different
What'd
stuff.
you put in the coffee?
So this one is just straight up coffee, so that's probably not for you. But if you drink a latte, I challenge you to taste that latte, which has reishi mushroom in it. Which is
What is it again?
reishi mushroom. So that's like the king of all mushrooms.
Would
So
that be from
reishi mushroom is an
Asia?
immune. They're grown in China. They grow on decaying wood, and they turn decaying wood into that delicious thing.
This is some of the best decaying wood I've ever had.
So, and how much would you put in? Because if it's this ground up mushroom mix, how many spoonfuls?
They're just in packets. They come in individual packets,
little
just
bitty
like
packets.
this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's all in
So-
there. Would you pour that whole thing into the coffee?
You just pour that whole thing in, you
Yeah.
add water, and you stir. So it couldn't be easier. And
so it's already made in
Yeah.
the coffee. Okay, I thought it was a separate.
It is.
Gotcha.
No.
So the same with this green tea.
Same with this
mushrooms
green tea.
are
It's
in this
just-
green tea.
It's just a tea bag, yep, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
infused with the reishi
Okay.
mushroom.
I'm the tea
So-
drinker here. So here we go.
Yeah, let's
Smells
see.
the same.
Now, imagine the rotting wood and a mushroom growing on top of it.
Why don't you
You're right.
imagine like your immune system
Oh, getting better.
blossoming?
Yes.
Because
Okay.
that's actually what it's doing.
Probably
And
a better
it's
thought.
lowering your blood pressure, lowering your cholesterol, balancing your blood sugar.
I want all that, so where could I get these teas and coffees and
So
stuff?
these are all readily available online. These happen to be the brands that I personally consume, but they're readily available. Whole Foods and health food stores, anywhere where you would normally find the good stuff, you can find medicinal mushrooms.
Is there a recommended dose? Like, should we have a cup a day? Or
So all of these are food.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you would use them like you would use
Caramel
your
hot chocolate. You like hot
usual
chocolate.
food.
Is that racy too? The racy?
That is.
And what's the last one?
So that's a
Well, you
mushroom
can't taste
elixir.
it. That's the good thing.
No, you
It's
can't
just-
taste the
It tastes
mushroom.
like hot chocolate.
Right.
So
So I think that mushroom elixir is actually quite delicious, and that's a way to get chaga mushroom in, which is an anti-aging, anti-inflammatory
That's a
mushroom.
really good one at the end
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
thank
mushroom
you.
elixir. Thank you.
You've enlightened us today.
Thank you.
We learned
Thank you for
something.
having
Yes,
me.
thank you so much.
And it was delicious, right?
It actually is
It was
really good.
delicious.
Yeah. All right.
And moving on to our Fox 29 Weather Authority. The Philadelphia area is slated for a much cooler day this Tuesday with some cloudy conditions. Temperatures will reach a high of only around 67 degrees. Some light rain is expected this morning, and those showers will continue into Wednesday. Mostly cloudy skies will dominate the forecast for the rest of the week, however. Here we have a look at current temperatures in our area. A pretty chilly 52 degrees up in the Poconos, 60 degrees flat over in Lancaster, PA, and right here in Philadelphia. Only marginally warmer down the shore with 63 degrees in Atlantic City and Wildwood, New Jersey. And don't forget to download the latest version of the Fox 29 weather forecast and have links. And that is going to do it for us today at Fox 29's News Now. Be sure to catch us again tomorrow at 10 a.m. and follow us at fox29.com as well as our mobile app and across social media. And thank you for joining us this morning.